Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. And for those who don't know me, my name is Kelly Anderson. My goal today is to take you from being confused and unsettled to moving through your life more confidently. Now, these skills not only help you survive, but will help you thrive in this world. Now, let me tell you, this process is not for the weak. Not at all, because life is not for the weak. It's not easy. There's nothing easy about it, but you can get through it. It is possible. For those of you who are willing and ready to make a change, let me tell you a short story. I come from a small town, so my parents both were pretty upstanding in the community. As the child of these parents, you have a certain standard that you must adhere to. Well, at 17, I ended up pregnant. And let me tell you, my mom looked at me at the time and she said, "Kelly, have you lost your mind completely? What now is your plan? You had a chance to go to school and all these things." And I looked at her and I said, I don't know, but I'm going. I'm gonna go. I'll do this. I swear I'll do this. And from that moment on, I had two things that were going against me. Me being pregnant was not one of the things that was going against me at 17. What was going against me at 17 was I had a huge need to be perfect and a huge need to not let those around me down. And I didn't want to fail anyone, and I didn't want to make any more mistakes. So it was extremely important for me to be perfect. But as you all know, perfection is just not something that's possible. But given the fact that I'm 17 and I'm pregnant, I'm supposed to be going to college, you can only imagine that people from my community formed real quick opinions about me and where I was going or where I was not going. You know, of course, I heard smatterings throughout the community that, oh, you know, such and such daughter, oh, she messed up, she pregnant, she not going to be able to do nothing. That child ain't going nowhere. And on this path that I had to take, there were a lot of struggles. And I had a little 3-year-old that was looking at me at the time like, "Mom, what are we going to do now?" And it was the moment that that 3-year-old looked at me that I thought, I can't fail. It's not an option. It's not an option to fail. There were a lot of different times along the way where I struggled. I struggled with my confidence. I thought, how am I going to do it? Everybody seemed to be light years ahead of me. And here I was trying to figure out a babysitter so I could get to class. But I had really good people that came and surrounded me. And they surrounded me because I chose me rather than choosing the weight of not letting others down. You see, when you focus on everyone else and trying to please everyone else, you'll find yourself with sleepless nights. You'll find yourself with a lot of days that you're going to be crying because you couldn't be perfect. You couldn't make it happen, whatever your it is. You'll find yourself struggling because you're constantly torn between what you really want and what is expected of you. But I tell you, there is a path that you can take to be successful in your own right. And what I mean by that is your kind of success, not what someone else wants you to be, not what society thinks you should be, but what you have determined is best for you. Well, I could have let 2 or 3 things happen at that point. I had some choices to make. I could listen to the naysayers and internalize all of that and decide that they were probably right. I probably wasn't going to be able to make it. Or I could take all that frustration and pour it into getting ahead? Well, I chose the latter. I went from being that young lady that was 17 and pregnant to getting my bachelor's degree with this little baby on my hip in school, because I had my daughter all through college. I went on to get my master's degree in counseling, and then I sat for the licensing exam and became a licensed therapist. I did that for, 15 some odd years. Then I decided to be an entrepreneur, and I went on and decided to be a business analyst. I have done so many things, that little 17-year-old pregnant young lady. Not only was I able to accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish, I also raised a really successful child who did not become a statistic. And that's because I was able to develop the very skills that I intend to give you today. But it takes you doing a lot of work on yourself and being willing to get the help that you need when you need it. And if you stick with me on my channel, I'll help you with all of those things that I've learned to get where I am today. The first thing is to make a great impression. And I say that because it's not easy to overcome a negative first impression. Others instantly form an opinion about you very, very quickly. And it takes a significant amount of time to change that impression. So imagine me walking in as a 17-year-old with this baby on my hip. Imagine the impression that people had of me. So it was very important to make sure that I always dressed for the occasion, whether that was a job interview, whether that was showing up at someone's house for the first time. You have to remember to smile, even when you don't feel like smiling, when you're making that first impression, because a smile invites people to speak to you. Make sure you use that person's name. It shows respect and show some overall enthusiasm for life. Be an attentive listener, be polite and confident, or at least appear confident. Secondly, you're going to have to learn to deal with a little bit of discomfort. People make a whole lot of poor decisions by simply seeking to be comfortable in non-beneficial ways. Now, what I mean by that is, it might be comfortable for you to sit at the back of the room and watch things going on. But if you can get outside of yourself, if you can get past that discomfort, you'll find that interacting with others can be a very positive experience if you allow somebody to come in just a little bit. Thirdly, learn to make a wise decision. We often make decisions that will make us better in the short run without looking at things long term. That comes with the decisions you make day to day, the decisions you make with your finances. You've got to think first, okay, this is what I want. How will this impact me a year from now, 6 months from now? Will this one decision that I make change the course of my life? Because a decision can very easily change the course of your life. And we're talking about little decisions. I tell you, just the other day, I was going down the street and I decided at the last minute to make a right instead of a left. And that one slight decision was the difference between me having my life and me being in an accident. Because I turned right and moved on and looked in my rear view mirror, and just as the traffic was turning left, which is what I would have been doing, there was a head-on collision. So pay attention to the decisions you make, no matter how slight, because they will have an impact on your life in some way, shape, or form. Set priorities and ask for help when it's necessary. You can't do everything by yourself. You can't perform heart surgery on yourself. You probably lack the time and the expertise to be able to even do it. It's silly to be in this world alone when all you have to do is ask for help. It's a whole lot easier to ask for a ride to the store than to walk miles because your pride gets in the way. Learn to cook. If for no other reason going out is expensive, honey, learn how to make at least 2 types of breakfasts, at least 3 lunches, and at least 4 dinners. Then you'll be able to rotate them. Nothing's wrong with having breakfast for dinner or dinner for lunch. The point is, you want to be self-sufficient, and everyone loves a partner that can cook. So it'll kind of help you out in the dating department as well. Too many of these young women, y'all, if y'all pop one more thing in the microwave, that's enough. You got to get some skills, baby. You can't eat everything out of a box. Half that stuff is processed. You better learn how to go to the store and get some real vegetables, cut them up, boil them, bake them, season them to taste. You want to practice effective personal finance. A good chunk of your misery will come in life just simply because you are very relaxed when it comes to your money. Look, marriages fail, and 9 times out of 10, the big hurdle is because of finances. You will prevent yourself from buying the home of your dreams because you managed to get yourself into debt. You have to have a certain debt to income ratio in order to buy a home. So be cautious that you don't exceed your spending. Get yourself a budget. If you don't know how to do a budget, for crying out loud, look on YouTube. There's 1,000 young ladies on there doing videos about how to do a doggone budget. They got envelope challenges on TikTok. Okay, I don't use TikTok, but I know what TikTok is. So for some of you young ladies, get on TikTok and figure out how to budget. Ultimately, you're going to, if you don't get a handle on your finances, you're going to have a lot of challenges that are unnecessary if you can just learn how to manage your money. But one of the most important things is for you to be able to master your thoughts. The brain itself is a thought-producing machine. We know that we have things that rattle around in our brains all the time. It often keeps us up at night. And if you spend too much time focusing on negatives in your life, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to be unproductive. You've got to learn how to control your thoughts so that you can focus. And some of that is just by simply reframing some of the things that you think about. So you might have made a mistake, but if you change that into, I have an opportunity to learn something different, it feels different, and your mind will process those thoughts differently. And you have to keep in mind that a lot of what goes on in your mind and how you are mentally processing things will affect your health and the way that your body is functioning. The mind and the body go very much hand in hand. Another thing is to get comfortable with public speaking. It's valuable. It's a valuable skill that few people have the nerve to develop. Being able to speak publicly, you help set yourself apart and you increase your social comfort. So when you walk into a room, people feel your presence. They know that you are there and that what you have to say matters. So if you haven't taken a course in public speaking, then start just getting out there and speaking to groups of people that you don't normally interact with. And start trying to come up with conversations with people that you don't know. It will help develop you and give you a skill that not everyone has, but is very beneficial to your success. Another skill that you want to hone in on is how to listen, and listen well. Most people are horrible listeners. For the most part, we sit in the midst of a conversation and all we do is simply wait our turn to speak. But I challenge you, the next time you're in a conversation with someone, to just sit there. Literally, do not interrupt at all whatsoever. Just try this today. Don't interrupt. Just, give a little feelings like, oh, wow, okay. And just listen. Wait until they stop speaking before you speak. And if you feel like your mind is kind of traveling off, bite your tongue. Just bite your tongue. It kind of centers you. I don't mean chew your tongue off for those of you who want to be ridiculous. Just simply, quickly bite your tongue. The other thing is I need you to appreciate your mistakes. Now, being pregnant at 17 probably wasn't the most ideal time, and I did have an error in judgment. But I appreciate my daughter. Because of her, it gave me the drive to do all of the things that I've been able to do in my life. Because I'm a mom, and you have a different kind of sense of drive when you know you have to feed somebody. But with any mistake that you make in life, I want you to learn how to appreciate it, because every mistake gives you the opportunity to learn. So the next time you make a mistake, sit down and just say, hey, What did I learn from that experience? Now that experience was jacked up and I don't care to ever go through it again. But what did I learn from it? And then the key is to not make the same mistake again. Because if you do the same thing, thinking that you're going to get a different result, you've lost your mind completely. That is insanity. And besides, my mother would always say, girl, ain't no point crying over spilt milk. Which simply means there's no point in you getting upset about something that's already happened. Nothing is very crucial is to make sure you put you on the to-do list. If you're anything like me, who in my past was really concerned about letting others down, I'll be the first to let you know the only way you can let other people down is by not putting yourself first. Why do I say that? Am I saying to be selfish? Absolutely not. I'm saying that if you don't take inventory over your life, figure out what it is that you need and go for those things, you won't be the best person that you can be. You won't be the most authentic person that you can be. If you are living the life that you have intended for yourself, that makes you happy, the people around you will see you shine. And it won't matter what their opinions are about what you should have done. What they'll see is how happy you are in what you're doing. And they'll support you if they really love you. And the bottom line is, my mother always said, and I'm good for telling you what my mother always said, she always had something to say. But she'll tell you right out the gate, self-preservation is the first law of nature. And what that means is before you can take care of someone else, you've got to take care of yourself. It's no different than if you're on a plane that's crashing. There's a reason the flight attendant tells you, hey, don't be putting your face mask on somebody else. You put it on yourself first. Because if you have oxygen and you have taken care of yourself well, then you're able to help a lot of people. But if you're busy helping one person and you're so focused in on helping that one person and you neglect yourself, now your health is failing, you ain't got no sleep, you ain't feeling good, you might have ended up in the hospital, and now who you helping now? Who you helping? You ain't helping nobody. So you've got to put yourself on the list. You can make a lot of progress and avoid a lot of grief just by putting these basic skills in place. Pick one or two and begin working on them today. You'll be amazed at the impact that these skills can have on your life. In the meantime, you guys be safe, treat yourself kindly, and I will see you next Thursday.